company regulations, of course, because some architects work with somebody, company. For the field projects, the intern can choose every project as long as supervised by architect and follow the regulations in that project. The Department of Public Works already announced how the sites or how the procedure to works in the sites project. The regulation of safety and healthy in working area is obligatory, including the COVID-19 prevention procedures. In some cases, a new trend as part of disruptions, this epidemic pushed some companies, including architecture company, for applying digital system. These conditions is an advantage for interns to do the internships because they can work from everywhere and supervised by any architects around Indonesia or moreover architects around the world, as long as they fulfill the requirement that is the architect must register and recognize in their architect association or architect board. The intern performance can be evaluated digitally as long as there are documentations and follow the logbook that can be downloaded via web or asked for the Secretary of IAI province. This is the table. This is how the internship work. As concluding, the new normal is a fact that we have to accept and follow. The architecture business will stagnate and some of them will review for the future advancement. It can be redesigned, continuous, or stopped totally. The internship program as part of architecture professional education that must do after graduate from 5-year architectural education is an obligatory for everybody who wants to be and work as an architect. It is important to remember that the internship program will provide a professional experience that cannot be done in the university, even with the Campus Merdeka program as an elective program for the third-year students. Hope this condition is temporary, and as social being, we just comprehended that meet people face-to-face physically is one of the privilege and the most precious ones. Thank you and God bless. That's all, Bu Mita.
Okay, thank
The
you.
speech. Sorry.
Yeah. Please end your share screen, Pak Dana.
Okay.
Okay. Those are all the three presenters. Yeah. Let me see if there's some questions from the audience. Yeah. Okay. There is a comment from some of the audience regarding the first year again. Yeah, I think this is an issue that we will face because with the coming of the new semester, then we will receive the first year student and we need to know what to do with this situation. Maybe Pak Aswin can and Prof. Balsafar, can you share your idea about what we should do with the first year student? Pak Aswin first, maybe.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Mita. Yeah, we will face the more challenging situation because the first or in our case is the second year student that entering architecture studio the first time, and we will have about 84 students after they already finished their first common year. And we plan to have some adjustment related with how we will design the term of reference of the studio. In the previous year, our second year studio is envisioned to broaden the sense of the first year architecture student to introduce the architectural elements and so on, and to increase their senses through sketch and also modeling. But now we have to adjust adjusting the medium. I mean, because of the limitation, travel limitation, site survey limitation, and also limitation of the group discussion. That's the very challenging situation, because our findings, one of the most important findings is from our preliminary assessment is the student feel more engaged in the group discussion with the mentor, because they can look for themselves from other peers, increasing their semangat ya, apa namanya, spirit, because if they work alone, it discouraging their spirit. That's why we still looking the appropriate, the affordable platform for the student doing the group works, either through peer, I mean pin-up, virtual pin-up, or also using Zoom for group discussion. That kind of media that we are preparing to provide for the both group of students with one or two mentors, and also with the whole class, because the first years, the second year studio, we will have a panel class, usually for the introduction, or also instructional course led by the studio coordinator. And then after the panel session, the studio divided into several studio groups led by the mentors, and we have to provide the most common, or the most friendly, user-friendly platform. In this case, we use Zoom, because almost all students and all lecturers already familiar with that platform. Another thing that we don't have yet the solution is how to manage the learning outcome without face-to-face, or without the offline interaction normally occur in the studio. Prof. Mita, that's my opinion about the future, or at least next semester studio for the first year of architectural student.
Next for Professor Baltafar, maybe please respond to the question about do you have any idea what to do with the new students, and also another question about the ideal ratio between student and tutor. What do you think in this situation?
The ideal
ratio, student tutor ratio.
Ratio, okay.
And also the new student.
Sure. So what we've done, this is now again a very preliminary study, but we've preliminary process for the last 2 months, but we've had very good outcomes. It was not so difficult, because with the first year, we were already there for about 8 months before the lockdown. So this first year had already got into a certain process. It will definitely become more challenging, we know, in July, when a completely new group comes and has not met with one another, and then are in different parts of the country. So that will be definitely more challenging. I can share with, it's a much longer document. I would like to share it with APTARI and with the ARCASIA education, what we've done. We've shared it with our own Indian Council of Architecture on what we've done, because it gives a kind of broad framework of what were the issues. Now, if I have to just explain in a few words, we've created two new courses, which are only dealing with sensorial appreciation. So it deals with sense of touch, it deals with sense of sound, it deals with, and these are very specifically created, spontaneous exercises with the students enjoy, almost like a gaming. And we've been connecting, discussing this interdisciplinary beyond architects. Now we're talking with physiotherapists, we're talking with anthropologists, neuroscience, and psychologists, because they are giving us some amazing input on how these sensorial, tactile experiences can be grown. And we've tried it now with the students, and I think we've given them those exercises. They're just loving it. In fact, they do so much work and send. I'd like to share it. I will just share it maybe in a day or two to APTARI and ARCASIA. You can really look at it, because this needs to be shared across. We are just taking time to document and put it together. In a few days, it will be there, and we want to do it open source. Everyone needs to see it, because we are in a very uncertain, strange time. And I think as much as we can collaborate and help, we should really collaborate and help. This is a world issue. That's one. On student teacher ratio, we have right now kept a 1:10 ratio. But what I have introduced in this process is that every senior faculty, so I'm a senior faculty, now has a teaching assistant along with him all the time. So what happens is that the teaching assistant actually starts getting into the documentation work, because there's so much of documentation to be done and compiled. And the senior faculty really pushes the interface, the communication, the conversation, the programming at a 1:10 ratio. It also helps in building a younger faculty now who has just passed out. It is like a faculty development program for the younger faculty. So we have combined now a faculty development program for younger faculty, 1:10 ratio. So technically it's 1:5, since 2 faculty for 10 students. But the younger faculty now is not necessarily teaching, but is coming in as a research assistant and is able to document, and also able to share basic software skills, Revit, SketchUp, BIM with the class. So I think this is a combination, and periodically, once in a week or once in 2 weeks, we're inviting very short sessions with practicing architects, so that, and these are like evening sessions or half an hour, 1 hour sessions, so that the students start rethinking. The projects given are, they have to start looking at what will be the design for the new normal. So public spaces in the new normal, the home for the new normal. I would even share those programs that we have evolved for the new normal. So it cannot be the normal auditorium or what we were doing conventionally, the school. We've stopped all that. We're really looking at what will be this transformation of how do we occupy urban space now. It's going to change. How do we occupy public transport? How do we, what is our new forms of recreation? And these are the questions that we are evolving, using film, using various other media. If you can, I think in 4 or 5 days, I will be able to share this all with you over the weekend. We're going to put it together, our semester's work, and I would share it. If something is of use, we would be happy, and one can open a dialogue. But I think the sensorial dimension along with the digital was very important for us. So they had to observe nature, they had to bring a leaf from outside the home, draw it, with all these exercises. I'll share it. It's much more detailed. But this was broadly how we dealt with it. And I am a little hopeful that it should be possible. I'm hopeful. With the new batch, the challenge is much more. I agree, but I am a little hopeful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Balsafar, for your response and also for your optimism that it is possible to try to do all of that thing. The last question for this session and also for today is just a short question for Pak Dana. Where can we find the source for students to find information about internship in consultant office? Pak Dana, can you please briefly respond to this question?
The internship can begin after they finish or graduate from the architectural education, 5 years architectural education. So it can be done after that, and then they can call to the IAI province and then ask for the logbook and doing the internships. That's all.
So the student should contact the local
Yes.
province IAI office. Okay, thank you, Pak Dani.
Depend on where they want to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, we have already extended time from the schedule, but I think this is a very important session for everyone. We learn a lot from all the speakers, and we really hope that this presentation today and the discussion will give some insight, useful insight for everybody to bring to your own institution and start thinking about what kind of transformation that you would like to prepare. I would like to share just a brief conclusion about our discussion today, just as a short notes for everyone. Can you share my screen? Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay. So this is just a summary from my notes from all the presenters. We are talking here about the finding new direction for architectural education in the new normal period. I would like to summarize that actually there are 4 main aspects of transformation. This is based on my notes, so probably there might be some additional aspects. The first is about learning platform or learning media. I think we have already discussed lots of this in the last 3 months, and but then actually the problem with the virtual learning and the distance learning is not only about the platform or the media, because that's actually very technical. I think we need to move forward and start thinking about the other 3 aspects that have been discussed by all the presenters today, about how can we update the curriculum contents, like talking about issue-based, finding about utilizing digital data, or shifting the topic, like the idea of urban space after the pandemic, the role of home, and so on, that have been discussed by the presenter. And then what is also important is about the pedagogy or the student's experience. This should also be our consideration. And then the last but not least is the healthy and safety protocols. This is also very technical, but I think this is a requirement that we all need to act upon. And what is also important is that we need to think of those aspects while ensuring the learning outcome that's stated in our education. And then this is just short notes, just to invite all the audience to think that the challenges that is posed by the new normal, maybe it should not be seen as a restriction or something that is difficult. I actually share the optimism by Professor Balsafar just now. So we need to see that the challenges in this current situation should be considered as a trigger for innovation, as a trigger for change. And it is also become the medium for us to find the balance between virtual and the real world. And last but not least, as a new window for further sharing and collaboration, either between disciplines or between institutions or even internationally. So with this, I would like to bring the spirit to everybody, for all the audience. Let's be prepared for the new normal. We have lots of homework that we need to think, we need to do. And I hope that this information session is useful for everyone. I would like to give back to the host. Please, Ibu Nanda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Paramita. On behalf of APTARI, I would like to extend our highest appreciation to all the presenters and Professor Paramita as the chair of the sessions, the panel discussions. Thank you to Senior Lecturer Dr. Zairul, Associate Professor Dr. Rufina Tilakaratne, Assistant Professor Dr. Coach Wei Chiu, and Associate Professor Dr. Aswin Indraprasta, Professor Durganan Balsavar, Architect Suwardana Winata. And also I would like to thank all the committee chair from Indonesian Institute of Architects, Architect Ketut Rana Wiyarka, Mr. Ariko Andika Bina, Architect Ahmad Saifuddin Mutaki. And also, last but not least, our appreciation for the amazing collaboration to the chair and the deputy chair of Committee of Architecture Education, ACAE, Architect Gyanendra Singh Shekhawat, and Architect Adrianta Aziz. Before we end the session, I would like to thank all the participants from all over Indonesia for participating in this symposium. And I would like to kindly remind you that next week we are going to conduct another web conference. It will be in Bahasa Indonesia about the response of higher education, architecture higher education in Indonesia to the new Campus Merdeka curriculum, to be held on Saturday, 27th of June from 9 o'clock Jakarta time. Thank you once again for coming to this symposium, and see you again in another event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to all. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for all.
Jadinya. Terima kasih. Thank you, Profesor Belsawa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Profesor Rufina. Thank you, Profesor Zairul. Thank you. From Mutaki. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Pak Aswin, terima kasih Pak Dana, terima kasih Bu Mita, terima kasih. Salam arsitek merdeka. Salam arsitek merdeka.
Pak Roni, maafin saya ya Pak.